and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. I'm your host, Maysa Doumas, to the headlines. After consulting Prime Minister, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, appoints Abdullah Munji Minister of Transport. Pursuant to the instructions of President Abdelmajid Tebboune, the advisor to the President Abdelhafid Allaham, along with the War Veterans Minister, inquire about the health situation of Yusuf Al-Khatib. The International Book Fair kicks off in the presence of Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman and the participation of 36 countries. And the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army winds up his visit to Qatar with a greater military cooperation in the offing. Those were today's headlines. First in our news, after consultations with the Prime Minister, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, signed a presidential decree appointing Abdullah Munji Minister of Transport. The advisor to the presidency in charge of foreign relations, Abdelhafid Allaham, Veteran Minister Al-Aid Biga, paid a visit to the former commander of the historic Wilaya or province, Yusuf Al-Khatib, to inquire about his health situation. The following this visit, which comes pursuant to the instructions of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the War Veterans Minister, made the following statement. Let's have a listen to him.
نحن اليوم بتكليف من السيد رئيس الجمهورية السيد عبد المجيد تبون.
We've been tasked by the President of the Republic to pay a visit to the symbol of the National Liberation War, the former commander of the 4th Region, Yusuf Al-Khatib, known as Si Hassan, to inquire about his health situation. Thanks to God, he's doing well. We wish him all the best during the night of martyrs.
The Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman inaugurated the 25th edition of the International Fair, marked this year by the participation of 36 countries, with Italy as a guest of honor. More details with our field reporter, Manal Ammari.
After 2 years of absence due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Algiers International Book Fair opened its doors on its 25th edition on Thursday, which was inaugurated by the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, who was accompanied by several members of the government, as well as members of the diplomatic corps accredited in Algeria. This edition was organized under the theme The Book Memory Gateway, Le Livre Passerelle de Mémoire, in which 2,200 publishing houses representing 36 countries took part, with Italy as guest of honor. The Premier visited many stands and stressed the importance of encouraging reading in Algeria. No matter how much technology develops, books remain the most effective way of living via physical books rather than e-books. The Prime Minister also stopped at the stand of the El Jaish magazine, where he hailed its quality content and its patriotic dimensions, calling on this occasion for the reinforcement of national unity. I congratulate you on the quality of the articles you publish, which aren't only for the benefit of the National People's Army, but for the benefit of all patriotic citizens. I hope that it is also available online to allow our youth to participate in expressing their love for their country and army. This cultural event is expected to witness several other cultural activities during the upcoming 10 days, starting from today.
The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingriha, wound up his visit to Qatar, during which he held a series of meetings likely to enhance bilateral cooperation in the future. A recap of this fruitful visit with Manal Ammari.
The participation of the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingriha, at the exhibition and the International Conference of Maritime Defense held in Doha, the IMDEF 2, which reflects the high level that military cooperation between Algeria and Qatar, in line with the guidelines of the President of the Republic, Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense. The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army participated in the event's official opening under the aegis of the Qatari Emir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, with about 200 specialized enterprises participating in one of the most important events in the Middle East. The Lieutenant General walked around the exhibition and stopped for a while in front of the Qatari stand, where he inquired about military production in Qatar in different defense systems and mechanisms. He also visited the Chinese stand and followed a presentation on this country's most recent military products. Concerning cooperation, and during the first day of his visit, Said Shingriha held talks with the Army General Hamad bin Ali Al Atiyah, advisor to His Highness for Defense Affairs, to whom he conveyed the greetings of President Abdelmajid Tebboune to the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. The Lieutenant General held a second meeting with the Chief of Staff of the Qatari Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Salim bin Hamad Al Akil Al Nabit, during which they discussed training issues and exchange of experiences. Before ending the meeting, both parties exchanged symbolic gifts. On the second day of his official visit, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army took part in the opening of the Middle East Marine Commanders Conference, centered around the international challenges in securing the seas and the Middle East region. Algeria also participated in the Maritime Defense Exhibition at the Hamad port with ships, namely the destroyer frigate Al Mudammir, board number 911, under our naval forces. The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Shingriha, inspected this multi-mission building in the presence of Major General, Commander of the Naval Forces, and Ambassador of Algeria to Doha. On this occasion, the Lieutenant General addressed the crew members, reminding them of the importance of Algeria's participation in this visit. He also listened to a presentation on the participation of the destroyer frigate in the 7th edition of this exhibition. The Lieutenant General visited the Doha training ship under the Naval School Mohammed bin Ghanem, working to train the class as part of National Naval Officer Training. To this end, the Chief of Staff scheduled a visit to Algeria for the benefit of this ship during the training period, after which he signed the Golden Book before receiving a symbolic present from the commander of the ship. On the third day of his official visit, the Chief of the National Lieutenant General Said Shingriha held discussions with several Qatari high-ranking officials, reflecting the between Algeria and Qatar. The Lieutenant General had a special meeting at the Prince's Palace with Excellency Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, the personal representative of His Highness, the Emir of Qatar, following which he was received by Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim Al Thani, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of the State of Qatar. In order to promote Algeria's participation in the 7th edition of the exhibition and the International Conference of Maritime Defense, the Lieutenant General had a special interview with the Vice Prime Minister, Minister of State for Defense Affairs Khalid bin Mohammed Al Atiyah, His Highness the Emir of Qatar for Defense Affairs, or Mohammed bin Al Atiyah. The two parties highlighted the importance of the military doctrine and training and the role in building of a competent and modern military institution. His visit was an important indicator of the level of the relations between the two countries and their armies. Upon his departure, the Chief of Staff was seen off by the delegation of the General Command of the Qatari Armed Forces in the presence of the Algerian ambassador to Qatar.
In Spain, thousands of demonstrators denounced the government's position, controversial, described by Spanish shocking, and by the political class as his. More details with Rania Al-Bahri.
Hundreds of Spanish demonstrators took to the streets in several cities, raising the flag Sahara as a reaction to the decision taken by the Spanish premier and described by the Spanish people as a move that goes against the historical position of their country and the international legality, expressing their support to the Sahrawi people.
Cuando dijo que él estaba de acuerdo con el pueblo saharaui y que cumpliría.
Sanchez's decision doesn't represent the Spanish people. We don't agree. We support the Sahrawi people, and it's up to them to make a decision.
La verdad es de que suena a una traición.
We are for the independence of the Sahrawi people.
Bueno, yo creo que se ha cruzado una línea roja que no se había cruzado hasta el momento.
The position of Spain vis-à-vis the conflict has always been clear. Of the former government also supported the freedom of the Sahrawi people. Don't understand this reversal. For their part, the parliamentarians expressed in turn their dissatisfaction and their indignation about the government's reversal. Some of them even held the Sahrawi flag inside the parliament.
L'État espagnol a soutenu une position équilibrée, non, par rapport.
Taking such a decision, as well as all the government has changed its position concerning the Sahrawi file. It's a real betrayal towards the Sahrawi people. The government's new position concerning the Sahrawi cause doesn't respect the international legality and UN resolutions. Think about gas and electricity instead of changing your position in such an expected way. Sahrawi is a fair one. Today, tomorrow and forever, our party will support it. Attack from sides on his change of position concerning the Spanish Minister Pedro Sanchez won't explain his decision to MPs who termed his move as disastrous.
Several figures from Latin America and the Caribbean expressed in their solidarity with the Polisario Front government following Spain's shift of position on Western Sahara, stressing that this deplorable position violates the international law. In Morocco, the gap is getting wider between the population and the political class, arousing a popular discontent. Many demonstrations held across the country. Rania Al-Bahri sums up the situation.
No to higher prices, no to unemployment, slogans chanted once again by Moroccans to denounce a social situation that is increasingly difficult to. Since the beginning of the crisis, nothing is going well. Misery, poor life, unemployment and soaring prices of all basic necessities, which pushed Moroccans to voice their anger daily. There have been a lot of price increases. You have to listen to people. The government must be on the side of citizens. Must listen to them and be at their disposal. If people do not have enough to eat, they must be helped. People live in extreme poverty. Personally, I think I'm going to pick up bread and plastic on the ground to meet the needs of my parents. All sectors are hit by the strike movement. The tourism sector is a case in point, with more than 80% of tourism struggling to resume their activities after 2 years of closure. According to the president of the Moroccan Confederation of Tourism, not a single day goes by without a gathering being organized to express their anger for long years of without system of tyranny that they want to overthrow at all costs.
The Minister of Health, Abdurrahman bin Bouzid, chaired on Thursday, March 24th, the proceedings of the 56th session of the Council of Arab Ministers of Health held in Cairo. Mr. bin Bouzid called on the Arab Ministers of Health to step up efforts to face the scourge of the current health situation facing the world, stressing that Algeria is very proud of chairing the proceedings of this session. Still in the health sector, Algeria is adopting a new approach in order to encourage the local production of pharmaceutical products by only medicines not produced locally. Leticia Sadqawi with the details.
To urge the national pharmaceutical industry, the government has adopted a new strategy consisting of only imported medicines not produced locally, with the objective of reducing the import bill, which is often heavy, and to encourage national production.
Previously, we talked about the pharmaceutical products, but now about pharmaceutical production in this field with well-defined perspectives, because we have a Ministry of Pharmaceutical Industry which allows us to develop this industry in Algeria.
Each state has its own experience in the pharmaceutical field, its own range of medicines, and even its care strategy, as well as free care, which is the case in Algeria. We had fruitful exchanges with many countries, which would allow us to improve our health system. The development of the pharmaceutical industry is a priority for the government. Efforts continue to produce locally to make good quality products available to patients.
We want Algeria to become the portal of Africa in terms of pharmaceutical production, because it has all the assets, both in material terms and human resources.
Laying the foundations for a pharmaceutical industry with high added value, a strategy able to satisfy local needs through the production of drugs for the treatment of chronic diseases.
Our national football team is to face the Cameroonian side today in Japuma Stadium with the goal of winning to increase our chances of qualifying to the World Cup Tournament 2022 ahead of the second leg in Blida Stadium. Story by Leticia Sadqawi.
Taking the advantage is the goal of the Desert Warriors in this final challenge ahead of the World Cup 2022 this Friday in Japuma Stadium, where the last African Cup of Nations took place. Algeria and Cameroon met in 9 previous encounters. The indomitable Lions won 4 times. The Desert Warriors won and tied in 4 games. To perfectly prepare for the match, Jamal Belmadi held a 3-day training camp in Equatorial Guinea. With many substitutions in the main lineup, 11 of the players who have competed in the previous African Cup of Nations tournament have been replaced with new ones, including Benito and Lawafi, and others made their comeback like Gidiura and Belfodil. On the Cameroonian side, coach Rigobert Song has to think of substitutes for Zambo Anguissa's absence.
They have their style of playing and many talented players, not only on the individual level, but the whole structure of play. We need to study that to make it as less dangerous as possible.
This Friday's game is very tough, yet the national squad have to resume victory before the away game, tantamount to securing a berth in the prestigious World Cup competition.
In another development, the Desert Warrior fans started to head from Cameroon to back the national team in this capital game. All the necessary measures have been taken to ensure a good trip to them. The atmosphere was convivial at the Houari Boumediene International Airport, and the fans are determined to do their best to help the national squad to display a good performance in Japuma Stadium. That was it for our news edition. Thank you for tuning in to our program. Good night.